I just passed a full-length marathon, only running steep uphill. And this thing was so much more brutal than I could have ever imagined. This is Mount Everest. And this is Hafjell in Norway. In order to climb the height of Everest, I need to run up this mountain 15 times, and I only have 12 hours to do so. I'm so eager to finally start this brutal race and start ticking off the height meters. But if it's one thing that is easy to do wrong when you're going to run up a steep mountain for 12 hours, it is to start out too hard. So I try pacing myself, not following the leaders at the start here. I have always been fascinated by mountains and the challenge of pushing myself up a mountain. So when I saw the opportunity to take on this challenge, I just had to try it. But this early in the race, feeling fresh, I had no idea of what I actually had signed up for. Because running up this mountain one time with fresh legs is one thing. Doing it 10 plus times is a different story. I managed to reach the summit for the first time in 35 minutes. That is just on pace to be able to get to the height of Everest within the 12 hours. And so far in the race I'm in 8th place. When you reach the top you take the ski lift down again. That takes about 12 minutes before you get to go up once again. First lap done. Well, that was hard. Oh. Starting to climb up the mountain for the second time, I'm super worried how my legs are going to feel and hoping that it's not already starting to feel too tough. Because the thought of continuing in the same pace as my first lap for 11 more hours felt super daunting. There are two classes in this race. One 36-hour class that gives you 36 hours to climb the height of Everest, and the 12-hour class that I'm participating in. When signing up, I thought that running up this mountain 15 times in under 12 hours was going to be hard, but probably doable. But after testing out the course 1 week prior to the race, I got a bit shocked. There, I just made it up to the gondola here. That was just this hill one time. This thing is going to be brutal. I wanted a challenge, so I think I will get one. If that test of the course wasn't enough for me to really respect the difficultness of this challenge, I think what I just heard might do the job. So after arriving to what the organizers call base camp and setting up my tent, one of the organizers said that they don't believe that anybody in the 12-hour class will be able to scale the full height of Mount Everest, and it's more about getting as many height meters as you can in those 12 hours. But to be honest, that just triggers me even more, because I love a challenge where I don't know if I'll be able to do it and know that I have to do absolutely everything right and have a really good day to be able to pull it off. That's what makes a challenge fun, that you don't know the outcome. I'm prepping my gear here, so for super long races like the one I'm doing tomorrow, it's so important to have all your gear dialed down. And it's allowed to use poles, so I'll be using these running poles. So hopefully using this I will be able to help out my legs a bit using my arms in the steepest sections. And for shoes I'll be using these Nike Segama trail shoes that are pretty cushioned and good for long distance races. But what's really interesting is what I will have inside this shoe, because thanks to the sponsor of this video, Victory, I will be having these Victory Gold VK Performance insoles that has this carbon base plate. I've been using these for most of my intervals and tempo runs the last couple of months, and really like this spring energy return effect you get in each stride from them. And one thing that I love with this approach of making regular running shoes into carbon plated ones compared to shoes that has an integrated carbon plate is that once your shoe get worn out, the midsole or outsole breaks down and you have to get a new pair, you can just continue using the same carbon plate when you have an insole like this, instead of having to just throw away a perfectly fine carbon plate just because the rest of the shoe is worn out. So this is what the original insole for these shoes look like. You don't get that much energy return from this, and this is the Victory ones. Quite a big difference. There it goes. So hopefully that spring effect will help me a lot going up the hill tomorrow. Thanks Victory for creating these great insoles and for supporting my channel. I don't know what happened, but so far this lap is felt way better. Just needed to climb a mountain to get warmed up in the morning, I guess. I was really surprised with how good my legs were feeling, and tried to keep a consistent pace for the upcoming climbs, and also started to believe that it might be possible to get to the full height of Everest. I'm 1/3 done. I've climbed this hill 5 times, and right now I'm on the pace to be able to climb Everest within 12 hours, but to be honest, these first 5 hills has costed. My legs are pretty smashed up. Yeah, I'll enjoy this short resting time and drink something while I have the chance. After the first 5 climbs up the mountain, I had to face the reality that keep going on the same pace was not going to be doable for me today. But after my ambitious start, I had some margin to get to the height of Everest. So I tried slowing down the pace a bit for the upcoming climbs, hoping that I was going to feel better again. 8 times. This is what I look after climbing this mountain 8 times. I don't know how I look. I feel dead. But it would be so easy to just stop here where I have my car at the top and drive home, and part of me just wanted, but I came here to challenge myself for 12 hours and do my absolute best. It was tough seeing the possibility for me to get to the height of Everest slip out of my hands, and I had to face the reality that I had gone out way too hard. But I was still moving, and it was still a race to get to as many height meters as possible. And although I've had to slow down, I was still in 9th place. So to motivate me to keep doing my best, I set up a new goal to finish in top 10, but then this happened. I bonked completely. Oh, it's just a struggle trying to keep the balance. I went out way too hard and took in too little energy for the start, and I have to pay for it now. I can't remember being this tired before. I almost couldn't get myself to the top. I thought about quitting, but decided to try to give myself 30-minute rest to eat and drink and see if my body had something more in it. On my way down to see how my legs was going to feel for another climb, I called my wife and kids, and it was so nice seeing them after being at such a low point. And I got reminded that it's a luxury that I get to challenge myself in this way. During my break, I had dropped down to 14th position in the race. I was now 20 minutes behind the top 10th position. I just passed a full-length marathon, only running steep uphill. This thing was so much more brutal than I could have ever imagined. But I don't know what happened to my body. I'm starting to feel better and better for some reason. What happened next is one of the coolest things I've experienced in a race. An hour ago I thought I was done, that my legs were not going to climb a single height meter more. But all of a sudden I was just feeling better and better and was moving fast up the mountain. Starting the last climb of the day, I was just 5 minutes behind the top 10. I almost couldn't believe how good I was feeling and quickly passed a lot of people and moved into 10th position. But although I managed to finish top 10 and it was nice to finish strong, it was still a bittersweet feeling getting to the finish line without having climbed the full height of Everest. But I got the challenge I wanted, and believe me, I will be back next year to get that Everesting done. Thanks again to Victory for helping me doing crazy things like this. If you want to try out their insoles, there's a link in the description that will give you a 20% discount.